بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أحسن الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Okay, today inshallah we're looking at chapter 49 in Kitab al-Tawheed, chapter 49, and this is concerning, as Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab begins the chapter heading. He says, Bab qawlullahi ta'ala وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِنَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ ضَرَّاءَ مَسَّتْهُ لَيَقُولَنَّ هَذَا لِي. This is an ayah in the Quran, the meaning of which is, in fact, to the end of the verse. So the ayah is وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِنَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ ضَرَّاءَ مَسَّتْهُ لَيَقُولَنَّ هَذَا لِي وَمَا أَظُنُّ السَّاعَةَ قَائِمَةً وَلَئِنْ رُجِعْتُ إِلَى رَبِّي إِنَّ لِي عِنْدَهُ لَلْحُسْنَى فَلَنُنَبِّئَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِمَا عَمِلُوا وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُم مِّنْ عَذَابٍ غَلِيظٍ. This ayah is in Surah al-Fussilat, Surah 41, verse 50. And general translation of this, the meaning is that if we were to give him a taste of mercy from ourselves after he had been afflicted with harm, he would certainly say that this is for me, meaning this is due to my merit, this is because of my own merit, this mercy that Allah sends down upon him, this is due to my merit. And I do not think that the hour will be established, but if I am brought back to my Lord, then surely there will be for me the best wealth with him. Then Allah continues, then we will verily show to the disbelievers what they have done, and we shall make them taste severe torment. So this is the ayah which generally relates to denying Allah's favors and ascribing the favors of Allah to oneself. And then Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab brings some commentary from some of the tabi'een, and from them is Mujahid, who says, in explanation of this ayah, that Mujahid said that it's as if هذا بعملي وأنا محقوق به هذا بعملي وأنا محقوق به. But this is due to my action, and I am deserving of it. And Ibn Abbas said, Yurid, meaning that this person who is that Allah is referring to, he is saying min indi, that this is due to my merit, this is due to my own merit. And then Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, he says that there's actually another ayah in the Quran in which Allah is quoting one of the associate or someone called the person called Korah, who's referred to in the Quran in Surah Al-Qasas. He says, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَىٰ إِلْمٍ إِنْدِي, meaning that I've been given this, whatever he has of wealth and so forth, due to the knowledge that he has. And Qatada said concerning this ayah, due to knowledge which I have about the various ways of earning, of income. And other people said, other commentators said, ala ilmin min Allah anni lahu ahl, meaning that I received this on account of knowledge which Allah gave to me, but which I was deserving of. And there's also the saying of Mujahid, utituhu ala sharaf, that I was given it on account of on account of me deserving it or being worthy of it. So in other words, all of these commentaries upon these verses, the general meaning here is that whenever a person is given something from the mercy of Allah, Allah bestows him with something, then he starts saying that this is, I earned it. It was due to my efforts, it was due to my action, it was due to my knowledge. it was due to me because I deserved it. Right? This is a general theme and the general meaning here in this chapter. And so we go now to the commentary of Shaykh Saalih al-Fawzaan. So he begins by saying that this chapter is a great and mighty chapter, and we've already seen a similar chapter to this previously. Obviously there's another chapter that has a similar theme, and this is concerning the verse يَعْرِفُونَ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ يُنْكِرُونَهَا, that they acknowledge the favor of Allah and then they deny it. And this is a chapter that occurs previously in this book. So then the Shaykh goes on to comment about this verse, and he says that the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ, that if we were to give this person a taste, and the person being referred to here is the person who was already been mentioned previously in the same verse, because prior to this Allah mentioned about this person, لا يسأم الإنسان من دعاء الخير وإن مسه الشر ويئوس قنوط. That Allah is speaking here generally about mankind in general, saying how this person that he doesn't he doesn't tire from always supplicating for the good, but as soon as some evil afflicts him, then he is someone who's just basically full of despair, and he's just full of despair, meaning he loses all hope and he's full of despair. And here when Allah is referring to al-insan, he's speaking to mankind in general. He's speaking in mankind in general. And so therefore when some harm afflicts him, either meaning either some calamity in his wealth or in his body or whatever, then he loses all hope and despair of any deliverance or safety from Allah. He just despairs of the mercy of Allah completely. And the Shaykh goes on to again comment upon the first part of the verse, وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ, that meaning if we were to give him a taste of, or give him something, رَحْمَةً مِنَّا, of some mercy from ourselves, meaning that we give him some good health in his body, or some cure in his body, or we relieve him from the poverty in which he was in, the poverty which he was suffering from, as Allah says, مِن بَعْدِ ضَرَّاءً مَسَّتْهُ, that we give him a taste of mercy after a time of affliction. Right, so he's in a time of affliction, and then we give him some mercy, and this mercy could be in the form of, he could have had a disease, so then we relieve him of that disease, or he could have been in some kind of poverty or hardship in terms of his wealth, and then we relieve him of that. Right, so this is the context in which Allah is speaking about mankind. That if we were to do that, then he would say, لَيَقُولَنَّ هَذَا لِي. Right? So now here is where he's saying that I received this because of some merit, or because of knowledge that I have, or because of my own virtue, or because I deserved it, or something like that. Right? So he starts making the likes of these statements. And so in essence what he's done is, he's totally forgotten the calamity he was in. He's totally forgotten the hardship that he was upon, and he totally forgets from where this blessing came from. Right? He thinks it's actually come on account of his own action, or his own handiwork, or his own ability or power. And so he says, هَذَا لِي, meaning this is on account of me. And so he doesn't show gratitude to Allah, and nor does he acknowledge this favor that came to him from Allah, but rather he ascribes it, this favor, to himself and to his own striving, to his own efforts and his own earning, or even to his forefathers or his his ancestry. This is how he is. So then the Shaykh says that Mujahid said, and Mujahid here is Mujahid bin Jabr. He's a noble Imam and one of the more senior of the Tabi'een. He says in commentary of this statement, هَذَا لِي, that when this person says this is due to my own merit, Mujahid explains, he says, هَذَا بِعَمَلِي وَأَنَا مَحْقُوقٌ بِهِ, that this is on account of my own efforts, my own actions, and I am deserving of it. So, meaning what he's saying is that this favor that's come to me is because of the actions that I did, and because of my striving and my earning and my efforts and so on and so forth, and I am deserving of it. I deserve it. I am the one who acquired it. I am the one who brought it together. And Ibn Abbas said, as Shaykh then goes on to mention the quotation from Ibn Abbas, Yurid hada min indi. That Ibn Abbas says that this person intends, what he means is that this is from me, meaning by on account of my actions and because of me. I am the one who acquired it, and I'm the one who became tired. I tired myself in trying to acquire this. So it's due to my effort. It's from me. And likewise, the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab quoted, قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي, and this is the statement of Korah, who is mentioned in the Quran, and the meaning of the ayah, that he said, verily it is due to knowledge that I have with me, meaning that I have all this wealth and possession. So Qatada said, Qatada explained, على علم مني بوجوه المقاصد, that meaning that this, I've acquired all this wealth on account of my knowledge of the various ways of earning and acquiring income. And other people said, the other commentators said, على علم من الله أني له أهل, meaning so there are two meanings here, and this one here is meaning that it's due to knowledge that Allah gave to me, because Allah knows that I was deserving of this. Right? So there are two different explanations here, right? There are two different statements. The first one is when a person says that I acquired all this because of knowledge that I have of all of the ways of income, or all the ways of earning. This meaning here is, the meaning of this is that I'm a person who has knowledge of economics and of the different ways of earning and making a living and acquiring wealth. And this is just like what the people today say, like these economists, these people who are into business or whatever. They try to strive with each other and boast about their shrewdness regarding business or about economics or just earning in general, and they think that the wealth and all of these riches and so on and so forth that they acquire, it's specifically because of their own shrewdness and because of their specific knowledge and their expertise, right? So they ascribe this to their own shrewdness and expertise and knowledge, and they don't ascribe it to Allah, meaning as a favor that Allah bestows, right? So this is the meaning of the first person, like what Qatada said. Qatada said that this is due to me because of my knowledge of the various ways of earning and so on and so forth. And some others from the commentator said, due to knowledge that Allah gave to me because I was deserving of it. Right? So this is a second statement, and this means that Allah Allah gave me this wealth because He knew that I was deserving of this wealth. Right? Allah gave it to me because He knew that I was deserving of this wealth. And in reality, what He's trying to say, that the fact that Allah gave it to me, there isn't any virtue or favor there, because I was deserving of it anyway. Right? Allah gave it to me because He knew I was deserving of it. So it's not like as if it's a favor from Allah, because I was deserving of it anyway. I deserved it. So these are two meanings. And then also there was a statement of Mujahid who said, "Utituhu ala sharf," meaning that I was given it on account of my nobility and because I deserved it, meaning that Allah knows that I am a man who is noble, a lofty person who has position and status. So Allah gave me this because of my position. And again, really the meaning of the statement is it's like rejecting the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the scholar said that هذه الأقوال لا تنافي بينها, that there's no contradiction or opposition between them all, right? Because these two verses that were mentioned, they carry all of these different meanings, and there's no contradiction between them. They're just like different manifestations of the same thing, meaning it's a rejection of the favor of Allah, but it's different ways in which a person rejects the favor of Allah, right? So either a person, he might say that I earn this because it's because of my own action. Or he might say it's because of my own striving. Or he might say it's because of my knowledge, my speciality, my expertise in this area. Or he might say that I received it from Allah because Allah knows that I was deserving of it. Or he might say that I got this because of my position and status as an important person. Right? All of these different manifestations of these statements are in essence part of the same thing, rejecting the favour of Allah. And then Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, he then goes on to bring a hadith to explain, and this hadith is a lengthy hadith in which there is the story of three men, a man who was a leper, a man who was blind, and a man who was bald. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that verily there were three from the Bani Israel. One was a leper, another one was bald, and a third one was blind. So Allah wanted to test them, and so He sent to each of them an angel. So this angel, he sent to them an angel, and so the angel came to the first one, the leper, and he said, "Which is the most beloved thing to you?" So he said, like a nice complexion, a beautiful complexion, and a good skin, like a nice coloured skin, and that Allah should remove from me this, that Allah should remove from me this thing on account of which the people dislike me for, on account of which the people are averse to me. So the angel then touched this man, and then his illness went away from him. This leprosy went away from him, and he was given a very good complexion and very nice and beautiful skin. And then the angel said to him, "Which of the possessions or belongings is the most beloved to you?" So he said, so this man said, either he said camels or he said cows. But the narrator, he couldn't really remember which exactly it was. So anyway, the man was given a pregnant camel, right? A pregnant pregnant she-camel. And then the angel supplicated and said, may Allah bless you in it. May Allah give you blessings in this camel. Then this angel, he went to the bald man, and he said to the bald man, "Which is the most beloved thing to you?" He said, "Beautiful hair, and that Allah should, that this thing, that this baldness should be removed from me, because of the people, again they have a strong aversion to me on account of it." So the angel touched him, and then this baldness went, and he was given beautiful hair. And then the angel said to him, "Which of the wealth is more beloved to you?" So he said, so again he said either camel or cows. And then the hadith continues, he was given a pregnant cow, and the angel said, "May Allah bless you, may Allah bless you therein, may Allah bless you within it." And then he came to the blind person, and he said, which is the most beloved thing to you?" And he said that Allah returns my sight to me, and so so that now I can then see amongst the people. So the angel touched him, and Allah returned his sight to him. And so he said, "Which of the wealth is more beloved to you?" And he said, "Sheep." So he was given a sheep, again he was given a sheep, and like two sheep, and as a result of these two sheep, there were others that were born. And as a result of all of this, what happened was that the first person had a whole valley of camels, and another person had a whole valley full of cows, and this third person had a whole valley full of sheep, right? Because the flock just grew and grew, and so now they had all of these possessions. Then what happened is the same angel came first of all. So now it's the same angel, and he came first of all to the leper, and he came in the form of he came the angel came in the form of so he went back to the leper, but he came in the same form as the leper, right? So just like the leper used to be beforehand, the angel came back in the same way. So he said to him that I ask you, he said, I'm a poor man, and all of the different ways and means have been cut off for me, in my journey, and I don't have anything with me. There's nothing for me except by way of Allah first of all, and then by way of you. So I ask you, by the one who gave you this good complexion and this beautiful skin, and the one who gave you this, I ask you for some wealth or some something from your flock, that I may continue and reach my destination in my journey. So this man replied, who used to be the leper. He said, look, I've got many obligations upon me, there's many duties upon me, and in other words, he's making an excuse that he can't give him anything. So the angel said, it's I should remind you, weren't you previously a leper, and who the people used to be averse to, and Allah, you were a poor person, and Allah gave to you, Allah the Mighty Majestic gave you wealth. And then this man said, but verily I inherited this wealth. I inherited this wealth, from generation after generation. So the angel then said, if you are a liar, then may Allah change you back to what you used to be. After this, the angel then went to the bald man again, and he went in the same form as the bald man used to be. He used to be bald before. So the angel went to him in a like manner, and he said to him, similar to what he said to the first person. And this blind man likewise, he refused him and rejected him, just like the first one rejected him. So the angel said that if you are a liar, then may Allah change you back to what you used to be. And then he finally went to the blind man, again in the same way that the blind man used to be before, and he said to him, look, I'm a poor man, I'm a traveller, and again, like, the ways and means have been cut off for me in my journey, and I don't have any provision for me. I don't have any provision today except by way of Allah and then by way of you. So I ask you, by the one who returned to you your sight, that you give me like a sheep that I may, that I can use to continue in my journey. So the blind man said that I used to be blind, and then Allah returned my sight to me. So take whatever you want from this, and leave whatever you want. And for by Allah, I'm not going to prevent anything from you today, which you have taken that you can take for the sake of Allah. This is for the sake of Allah. So then the angel said, it's okay, keep hold of your wealth, for verily I only came in order to test you, for Allah is pleased with you, but He is angry with your two companions. Right, so this is the hadith, lengthy hadith, and then we just go through the commentary of Shaykh Saalih al-Fawzaan upon this hadith. And so he says, narrated from Abu Huraira, that there were three from Bani Israel. And when we speak of Bani Israel, the children of Israel, they are the offspring of Ya'qub. And the meaning of Israel is Abdullah. Israel. This meaning of it is Abdullah, Israel. And then the first man, who was Abras, which is a leper, and Abras, this is like a type of disease that affects the skin, and what happens is the skin turns like kind of a white color, and it becomes like a circular, like round and like a boil, and it's very horrible to look at. It's disliked, horrible to look at, and it's the disease itself can't really be cured by way of the medicine. And for this reason, it was from the miracles of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam that he would cure the lepers. and other, the lepers and the dumb and the other than them, and he would give life to the death by the permission of Allah. And all of this is something that couldn't be achieved by the medicine that was available, or by the medicine, human medicine. And then the Aqra is the one upon whose head there is no hair that grows, and this hair itself is something that has many benefits. First of all, it's beauty, and secondly, it has some like health benefits, and other than that. So therefore, when a person when he loses his hair, he kind of loses many benefits, and the greatest of them is the beauty, the beauty, and as a result, he becomes someone who, he's not pleasing to look at. And as for al-a'ma, the blind, then he's the one whose sight is gone in totality. And as for the one whose sight is only partially gone, like for example from one eye, then we say about such a person that he is a'war. But al-a'ma we refer to the one who is totally blind. And then in this hadith, the messenger said that there were these three people from Bani Israel. فَأَرَادَ اللَّهِ, Allah desired, Allah wanted. So here in this hadith, Allah has been described with al-irada, with irada. And we know that the creation too has irada, the creation too has a will and a desire, but Allah's will is specific to Him, and the creation's will is specific to them. And we know that the irada of Allah, it divides into two types, the irada kawniyya and the irada shar'iyya. Allah's will as it relates to the creation is that Allah wills everything that occurs, whether He likes it or dislikes it. So Allah wills, Allah wills for shirk to occur, for disbelief to occur, for sins to occur, even though He dislikes them. And this is His overall will that relates to everything that occurs in the creation. And then there is His irada shar'iyya, His will that is related to the Sharia, and this is in relation to only those things that Allah loves and is pleased with, right? Like Tawheed and Iman and the Ibadah and so on and so forth. And then in the hadith it occurs that He wanted to test them, and so He sent to them an angel. فَبَعَثَ إِلَيْهِمْ مَلَكًا. Malak is the singular of malaika, and an angel is a creation from the creation of Allah, and they are from the world of the unseen. Allah created them for His worship, and He created them as well in order to fulfill His commands in His creation. Right? They carry out many of the tasks in the creation. Like some of them, for example, are entrusted with revelation. Others are entrusted with the rain and the vegetation or the growth. And others are entrusted with, for example, blowing the trumpet. The sur, the trumpet that will be blown. And others are entrusted with, preserving the wealth of the sons of Adam, and many other things. They're entrusted with many different things. So, as Allah says regarding them, لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. That they don't disobey Allah whatever He's commanded them, but they do whatever they have been told. They do whatever they have been commanded. So, anyway, the hadith continues that the angel came to the leper, and then he said whatever he said, and then obviously he touched this leper, and his disease was removed, and then his skin came back to him, and his colour came back to him, and all of this is by the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the angel was just sent as a messenger of Allah, but the actual qudra and the ability and the power behind it was from Allah. And then, as we've seen, that he then asked him what wealth he wanted, and the narrator Ishaq, who was Ishaq bin Abdullah bin Abu Talha, he couldn't remember whether it was a camel or a cow. And this just shows the very fact that the narrator who narrated from Ishaq, the very fact that he mentioned that Ishaq couldn't remember which of the two it was, shows the truthfulness and the preciseness in narration. Right? So when he himself was informed by Ishaq, and Ishaq said, I can't remember which of the two, he then in turn passed it on in exactly the same manner. He said, Ishaq couldn't remember. Right? So he didn't say, well, it was either a cow or a camel, but he actually mentioned that Ishaq. So this shows the 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 preciseness and the trustworthiness in which the narrators would transmit the information. So anyway, this person was given a pregnant she-camel, and in Arabic it says naqatan ushara. Al-ushara, what this means is that this is a pregnant she-camel, for which it's like ushara is basically a pregnant woman or pregnant whatever who's 8 months due, right? 8 months, and which is 8 months pregnant. And so Allah mentions in an ayat, in fact, وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ عُطِّلَتْ وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ عُطِّلَتْ, it mentions the word ishar, and this refers to the day of judgment, when everyone will totally forget themselves, and they will abandon themselves and their wealth and whatever. And what will happen is that the pregnant she-camel will give birth to its load, due to the severe of the terror on that day. And then after the angel gave to this leper, he then said, Barakallahu laka fiha, may Allah bless you therein. So he called upon this person for barakah, and we know that the supplication of the angel is answered to, and this is by the command of Allah. And so this happened in order to test and put this person to trial. Then he came to the bald man, as we've seen, and then finally he came to the blind man, as we've also seen in the hadith. And so what happened, as the Shaykh explains, that as a result of the individual animals that were given to each one, like the pregnant she-camel or the pregnant cow, or the 2 sheep that were given to the blind man, that as a result of all of these, they all increased in number, and so one person had a great deal of camels, another one had a great deal of cows, another one had a great deal of sheep. And all of this was a trial and a test upon them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the same angel, he came back in the same way to each of these people, in the manner that they themselves found themselves in first. And so he said whatever he said, that I'm a poor man, and so on and so forth, and whatever. And we find that what in essence happened, as the Shaykh explains, that each of these people, or the first 2 people, that they rejected the favour of Allah upon them, right? By refusing to give to this angel, and by saying what they said, they rejected the previous state that they were in, the position of where they had this disease or illness, and then they started making excuses and claiming that their wealth that they had was for a reason other than the true and real reason, which was a favour from Allah. So they said, "Oh, it's something that I've just inherited from, it's not like new wealth which I've just acquired, rather it's wealth that I've had from my parents, and from them, from before them, and so on and so forth." And this, as the Shaykh says, is a rejection of the favour of Allah. So what happened was that the angel supplicated against both of these people, against the leper and the bald man, and he said that if you are liars, if you are lying, then may Allah change you back to what you initially were. Same thing with the bald man, and the bald man said exactly the same thing, that I've got many obligations and I can't afford to give you whatever. And then the same thing happened. And then finally he came to the blind man, and the blind man, obviously, he acknowledged his previous situation, and he said, "For wallahi la ajhaduka," that verily I will not prevent from you anything, anything that you take, because it's not anything that begins, it's not anything that belongs to me, but rather it's from Allah. It's from Allah. It's the wealth of Allah. So then, this whole test that took place, the results were clear, in the sense that the first two men had rejected the favour of Allah, because they rejected the favour of Allah, and Allah was angry with them both. But Allah was pleased with this blind man because he was grateful for the favour of Allah. So the Shaykh says that this was the result of the test and the trial, and the Shaykh says that what's covered in this chapter here, that this is general for every person who disbelieves or rejects the favour of Allah, or who is grateful for the favour of Allah, meaning that Allah is either pleased with one or He is angered with one, depending on which state a person falls into. And then the Shaykh finishes by saying that these two verses that were mentioned in this chapter, and likewise the one hadith that was mentioned, they have some great affairs or great points that we should note. First of them is that to ascribe all of the favors to Allah is Tawheed. To refer every single favor back to Allah, that itself is Tawheed. And to ascribe them to other than Allah is shirk. To ascribe them to other than Allah is shirk. Now, if this person was to believe that someone else besides Allah was the originator of these favors, then that is major shirk. Major shirk. Right? That's major shirk. If someone else is the originator of these favors. But if he believes that Allah is the one who is the originator, He's the one who obviously brought these favors into existence, but that the sabab, that the cause and the reason behind them was other than Allah, then this is minor shirk. This is minor shirk. Right? So he ascribes them to something else. Rather than from Allah, he ascribes them to something else. Like, for example, as we've said, some knowledge that he has, or due to a position or status he has within the society, or because of his hard work and his effort and his striving, and that's why these are the reasons. So the Shaykh says that it's not permissible for us to ascribe anything to the asbab. Rather, all of it comes from Allah. So, for example, we don't say that a farmer was successful in his harvesting the crop because he worked so hard and he tilled the land so well and he did everything in accordance with his expert knowledge as to how he should till the land and so forth. Because now we are ascribing the results to the asbab, to the ways and means. These are just the ways and means. The actual originator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? It's like the example that we often give, like when you have a headache and you take a headache tablet, you don't say that the headache was cured as a result of this tablet. The curer was Allah. The tablet was just a ways and means. It was just from the asbab. Just from the asbab. Allah is the one who gave or who placed in that tablet that chemical or that thing that had the certain, the particular properties that allowed it to have the effect that it did have. Right? So the originator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who removed your headache and your illness. The tablet or the medicine or whatever was just a means. So, in other words, that we don't ascribe these things, the favors, to the asbab, we ascribe them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore, the Shaykh continues and says that all of the blessings and favors are ascribed to Allah, and that's why in another chapter, actually in Kitab al-Tawheed, Shaykh Islam Muhammad bin Wahab has another chapter discussing the verse فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, meaning don't set up rivals with Allah whilst you have knowledge. And this refers to, for example, when a man says, if it hadn't been for this guard dog, the thief would not have come. Right? If it hadn't been for this, this bird or this duck or whatever in the house, then the thief would have came in. Right? Meaning he's ascribing something for a reason other than it being a favor of Allah. So therefore, it's not permissible to ascribe these affairs to other than Allah. Second thing is that favors and hardships are a test and a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So you're tried both by favors and you're tried both by hardships. Like in the example that was given in this hadith of the three men, they were put to trial with hardship, and then they were put to trial with a favor and a blessing. Right? So mankind is put to trial by both. In the case of hardships, is to see if he is patient. In the case of favors, is to see if he is grateful. Right? So a mankind is tested by both affairs. So obviously the person needs to be grateful for the favors of Allah, and needs to have patience upon the hardships he faces. Third benefit is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the angels ability in order to take whatever form, or to take on different forms. And this is established in many hadith. So their form or their shape that they come in is here in order to for the benefits of the servants, because the servants themselves can't see angels in their original forms. So we know that in other hadith that occurs that Jibreel came in the form of a man, and there are other hadith like that which mention angels in similar manner. Fourth benefit is that in this hadith there is a proof to show that it's permissible and legislated to mention the stories of the nations that came before, such as, for example, Bani Israel and others, to mention their stories, but from the angle of reflecting and seeking and taking admonition. And that's when these stories are correct and true. Fifth benefit is that it shows that when a person who is grateful for the favour of wealth, meaning that he takes out the right which is due upon him from his wealth, and so therefore he gives zakah from it, or he feeds a poor person, or he clothes a person with no clothes, or with little clothes, and whatever is similar to that, that it shows that this is from the rights of the wealth, that this is from the being grateful for one's wealth. A proof of you being grateful of your wealth is to actually take from your wealth and to give it away in the manner mentioned, and to be stingy and to be greedy with respect to the rights of your wealth upon you. That is from disbelieving in the favour of Allah. That is rejecting the favour of Allah. And being grateful for the favour of Allah is to take from that wealth and to give it in the manner prescribed. The sixth benefit is, in the hadith there is an evidence that of the principle al-jaza'u min jinsil amal. Al-jaza'u min jinsil amal. This is a principle, meaning that the reward for an action is its like. The reward for an action is its like. Right? Meaning that in this example, the blind man, Allah was pleased with that blind man because of his benevolence. You know, he was initially blind and poor and needy, right? And then he was given this ni'mah of sight and then wealth and whatever. And then the man himself, he did the same. He gave back. You know, he too made ihsan. He too was benevolent to a person who came to him who was in a similar manner to himself. And Allah was pleased with that person. And those other two people, Allah was angry with them because of their miserliness and their greediness, you know, and because they didn't give to the rights of the poor people and the needy people. And the seventh and final benefit here is that in the hadith there is a clear mention that Allah becomes pleased and Allah becomes angry. Allah has described himself, Allah has been described with ar-rida and as-sakhat, right? Pleasure and anger. And these are two attributes from the attributes of Allah which befit him, and they aren't like the pleasure and the anger of the creation. So these are two attributes affirmed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the end of the chapter, and inshallah we'll stop the lesson there.